New York City. Yeah? And it's click, click, boom. Yeah. But that's Doug and Doug. Yeah. And we'll have Wagner and Dabs coming up on a later episode, all right? On a later quest. Yeah, we're going to get into click, click, boom. But we're still on that image tip, man, because I love it. But we're going to get a bit into the shadows on this one, some dead things that probably roaming. Yeah, because we got Fred Kennedy in the house.
Do I talk now?
See, that's why I tell people, be used to a hip hop, like wrestler-esque intro, because they're like,
What?
the fuck was that, man?
No, like it's good. Do you want me to? Do I freestyle? Is this what I do? I can come in. I'm loving it. I'm just a big fan and an enthusiast.
Wait, so you got bars? Is that what you're telling me?
No, but if I had known, I would have prepared. I would have written some notes. I'm good at rhyming words.
Well, I know you're phenomenal at writing words, man. I don't know about your rhyming skill. I ain't seen nothing on that tip, Fred. But I do know for this particular quest, brought a special co-host along. Yeah, that man that does the art for the dead Romans. Yeah, and let's see who's got the name pronunciation right. Nick can call us on it. Yeah, because it's Nick Marinkovich.
Marinkovich.
Are we both wrong? Are we both wrong? Because that would be hilarious, Nick.
I've been saying it wrong for years. Can't hear you, Nicholas. You're muted.
Nick had this same problem last time. What the hell? Had to all cut out and then cut back in. Like, why? Just go away.
Oh my goodness. I'm devastated emotionally.
Yeah, I could, man.
Hello?
Ah!
All right, see.
So,
not just a pretty face, I'm also technically apt.
Yeah. So Marinkovich, or have I been saying it?
No, that's exactly right.
Marinkovich. So you've been letting me say it wrong for 2 shows.
No, your pronunciation morphed. You got it right like once. And then, I'm not very confrontational. I don't like to throw that into people's faces. So since then, yes, you've been saying it wrong.
Marinkovich. All right. Well,
like Marinkovich or Marinkovich is also acceptable. It's really like the dialect.
See, I know Marinkovich is what I was saying for quite some time.
But there. See, that's it. You got it right there.
Marinkovich.
You got to do the Marinkovich.
Marinkovich.
Because Markovich is actually a different name.
What does like the if you take apart the words from the name, what does it translate to?
Well, the suffix, bit, that's like in the Balkan region, that would be the equivalent of like of this place or of this family. So like saying Van if you're Dutch or Von.
Yeah.
But they tack it on the ending.
Can you do me a favor and scoot back a little?
Mm-hmm.
Like I just don't want your chin to be cut off for the whole interview. It looked freaking weird, man.
Sorry, I keep on lunging forward, but I'm good now.
It's because, look, and let's just get right into it. I do, right? Because I've been a fan of Dead Romans, man. It's an excellent book from everything I've seen. And I just want to know, because I got to pick on Fred right off the bat. What is wrong with you, Fred? Making Nick draw all these things from blood to gore to just swinging dingalings.
Well, that was historically accurate. We talked about this like in our very first conversation, was that berserkers fight naked because it helps them feel connected to nature and they're like a primal force. And so if we're going to have berserkers, they've got to be naked all the time. And there is a scene in the current issue in 4 where there is some nudity with the dude's wiener flopped over the side of a bed. And again, that's symbolic of how next to a powerful force like Honoria, even a senator of Rome is flaccid next to her.
Very nicely put, man.
You laced that up with a bow, Nick.
I didn't tell Nick to have and that panel with the dead guy, like we just talked about a dead person, but we wanted to have like a lot of nudity in it. And I think that Rome on HBO was a real strong influence on both of us in this book. And I think that we get weird about nudity in books, and I don't see any difference in like a comic book form between like naked men and naked women. It's all nudity, and I don't get it. You know, I would love to do a book about cave people and just everyone's naked all the time. And it's like, I don't think nudity is inherently sexual at all, if that makes any sense. I think that Rome was a very overtly sexual place, but I don't think that I think even then, I don't think there's a difference between sexuality on display in the forefront in a comic and something being gratuitous, if that makes any sense. I think it's really only gratuitous if you make a point of doing it for its own sake. I think it all fits too. I think everything that Nick has done with nudity is really like flown. It's never been like, whoa, to me, you know?
In fact, I felt I downplayed it more than I could have. You know, if I were to have done this again, I probably would have accentuated it a little bit more, but maybe I was a bit timid.
Well, if we get the second arc, you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Dead Romans, Arc 2. Expect more boobies and just slanging dingalings. All right.
That's the plan anywhere.
There's
like
your pitch for it. Yeah.
Like, you ever see those, like, Michelangelo, the way he draws people, and everyone's just thick?
Yeah.
Like, it's thick, like big, round, clapping booty cheeks all over. That's it.
It's being marketed as hentai in Japan.
Oh my god! But look, as far as to your point,
our sales will skyrocket.
It really probably would, in all honesty, Nick. But no, as far as to your point, Nick, I think you're very accurate in that. I mean, I know I've got Andy coming up who writes Mother Trucker. I don't know if either of you have ever heard of that comic.
Andy Belanger, great guy.
Yeah, and well, we're definitely gonna get. I definitely intend to get into him with this on the Quest. But the way that comic is, because I've had a chance to check it out as well. I'm curious if he's saying if it's a metaphor as far as how Americans specifically don't have a problem with violence being depicted, but oh my god, if you whip some titties out, ooh, you know, because in issue 1, I don't know if either of you have read that, but like she's having this huge, violent, crazy wrestling match where they're just. Like, it's nothing you're going to see. You wouldn't even have seen this level of violence in ECW or CCW, for that matter, if either you know what that is. But then she pulls her breasts out, and it is, like, the most offensive thing. The cops are getting called, this and that. So I wonder if he's trying to make a social, so word another for. Or just trying to talk about our social construct and the fact that, as Americans, for some reason, it's something we're definitely not comfortable with.
Yeah, I think yes and no. I think that on the surface, there's like an ostensibility factor that people are uncomfortable with it, but I think the average person gets it. I think there's like an inherent nature of understanding of nudity and whatnot. I think that with Andy and Mother Trucker in particular, he's a primal guy. Like that's just who he is as a dude. He's Bob the Animal Anger. Like that's his bit, you know? And that's not his bit. That's really like who he is at his core. He's a really like primal energy kind of guy.
And he'll really body slam you. Like legit, he wrestles, he'll pick you up and slam you on the ground. That's what he does that in comics. So it's definitely
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't argue that point, man. I truly can't. But I think that's just odd as far as it's something that societally sticks out, man. Like, have you guys gotten any comments on the nudity in Dead Romans as far as anybody saying anything as far as it's gratuitous? And again, look, I'm not saying it is. I want to point out, I do fully agree. Fred,
You're asking the hard questions. I get it.
Well, I mean, I was
You're
just
being a
screwing with you.
journalist.
Yeah, I was just screwing with you, though. You know, I don't care. I do understand it's historically accurate, and I think that's great that you did that. But I'm just curious if there's been any kind of backlash from the comic in like, why are you doing this? You know, kind of shit. At least
Not
you're not
from
using
me.
AI.
No, not that I've seen. Anyway, no.
I think that people like we're going on a path that was like blazed, but the people that are looking for a book that is about Rome, specifically about something of this nature, they know what they're getting into. Like the demo that we're going after, the people that like it, the people that are fans of things like Spartacus and Rome and stuff, like they know what they're getting into. I don't even think that we've gotten to the levels of nudity that have been pre-established by things that are about the Roman Empire. Yeah. And I think that, you know, like not to go back to the second arc, but there's been a lot of talk about what we do with that one. So I think that maybe we'll get more nudity or in the second one. Yeah.
Dude,
what do you say, Nick?
Word.
I think about that as well as the level of violence depicted. I always think, you know, should I be pushing it more? Should I be pushing it harder? You know, because you don't want it to be. I guess, you know, we kind of wanted our own little look to it, our own little style, and but I always I'm always thinking, you know, should I be pushing? I almost certainly will push it a little bit further in arc 2. So far in book 6, I think I'm finally at a level of how I've wanted the arc the arc to look. Took me, you know, 6 issues to get there, but hey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here we are. You know,
it's only the 6th issue that's good. Well, come on.
No, but there's a dynamism and fluidity to it, and I did that on purpose because the whole 6th issue is very battle heavy. You know, like we've been building up to it. Here we are, and I really wanted to go all out with that. But in doing so, you know, you're doing it in a slightly more fluid way, and it kind of really reinvigorated me. You know, I kind of see the rest of the arc looking like this.
But you're making it really metaphoric too. Like there's a lot of symbolism that's going on with the violence, and I think that it's really punctuated. And I think I was reading some of those reviews that you sent me today, actually, and I think that people are starting to finally get some of the stuff that the way we're placing. Nothing is random. It's not like scenes are thrown together ad hoc because to throw like a stop space. It's like the reason the violence is happening and the reason it's drawn the way it is and paced the way it is because we consciously planned it to sort of like be juxtaposed against other things.
Yeah.
And I think it really works well. And I think that it's frustrating to have read some reviews that are now finally starting to get why it was paced the way it was.
Yeah. Fred basically, he compacted down a much larger arc than he had planned. So there's no details that are random. Yeah. Every detail you're seeing is there for a reason. You know, I'm trying to subsidize that economy in the art as much as possible. You know, like show as much as we can in order to cram it all into that space. Yeah.
Well, and as far as to what you just said, Nick, I think in any project, regardless of what it is, it's better to have a slow build. I think that's a lot of the problem with a lot of the stuff that, like, and not to jump to films, but like DC has done specifically into its films, there's no slow burn. You know what I mean? Like, if you jump instantly and just jump into the craziest of crazy, then you don't have the appropriate backstory to where, you know, I give a shit about these characters, because if you don't care about the characters, then what's the point of it? And as well as how you said you're finally getting to the point where you are feeling comfortable with your art, Nick, it's all great. Shut the fuck up. Just saying. But I think that's a thing of any artist, man. The longer you're on a book, the more you're just going to feel that vibe. Like, I would assume that's the same with you, Fred. The more that you write this, the more you feel yourself getting within it a little bit.
It was terrifying.
Wait.
It was terrifying because it was waiting until like seeing Nick's pages and seeing it come together and feeling like that's what I wanted. You know, like that's how it was supposed to look. And that's like the greatest feeling And I feel like I know them more now, seeing all the art on the page, and you make decisions for your characters and what they're going to do, and you're sort of wondering whether the wrestling term, whether they will put you over when you're reading it, and then they do because of the way Nick put it all on the paper. So that's an amazing feeling, and to see it like every month come out, and it just keeps doing it over and over, and it's like the Royal Rumble, you know. It just every minute, and it keeps building, and we're at the point where it's like there's 10 people in the ring, and it's just Gonzo, and it's like, you can see the little factions already forming, and it's really great to see where we are right now, especially right now. Like, this is all the foreplay is over. Like, it doesn't stop, and it's great. I'm really excited.
And I'll say, when Fred first had the finished drafts of the scripts, I remember, man, reading. Fred, I don't know if you even remember, I messaged you, like, when I finished the end of 6, like, right away I was just like, man, okay, so at that point I just assumed there's going to be a second arc, and I was like, I don't care, I'm on board regardless of what happens, because it just ends like, okay, we got to see what's coming next, and yeah. I was already committed at that point, for sure.
Yeah, you did send me the one panel description of Regulus's big crescendo. We don't want to talk about anything that happens, but I remember when you sent it, I was like, "Are you sending this back because you don't know what's going on?" And you went, "No, I get it. I totally get what you're trying to explain. What's going on right now?" Like, oh man, it's here, it's on, and it's just like, we're really like in sync in terms of like the visuals and the way things are going there.
Yeah, so much of this art I want to show, but you can't, because
we
it's
can't.
a lot of it. Yeah, you can't right now.
We're at the point right now where it's all spoilers. It'd be too many spoilers.
Yeah. But I was thinking of a lot of these scenes, like, since I had started, when I read, like, oh man, like, I really got to give this guy the climax he deserves, and I already have it on paper now, but I gotta keep it secret.
Hey, you can show me after the show, and I won't show nobody. I assure you. I had, like, Sean was showing me pictures of War College, and I'm like, oh, so I shouldn't show nobody from these because Marvel would be after me and you. And he's like, yeah. I was like, fair enough, Sean. I'll make sure it's
we would get murdered.
I don't want Jim Valentino finding his own reality stone and coming after y'all.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure that don't happen, like, for real. But I will say, as far as on the note of when I had Jim on, man, I do definitely agree with something that he said in kind with Dead Romans, which is, man, I would love. I think this would work great as a show. Like, it's one of those comics that if someone doesn't option it at some point, I'll be kind of frankly surprised. Especially
I want to do it as an anime. I think we've talked about this before. I think I had said anime. I said that to you, didn't I, Nick?
Yeah.
Did you agree or did you disagree?
I can honestly, actually, I wanted to say an idea I had to you, but I can't say it live. But I'll say you after. But yeah, no. I mean, I would picture it in various media for sure.
Yeah.
It really does lend itself.
Well, hey, first off, we're not live. I could edit it out, but don't do it because my dumb ass would probably forget, because I have a lot to edit right now, and you'd have to remind me. Like, I'd have to hit you up, and you'd have to be like, "Did you edit out that point?" And then I'd have to go back and be like, "Shit," and go and do more editing. And listen, I got enough editing to do as it is, gentlemen. I don't frankly want more. I'll be real freaking honest. Just no. So have you guys had any issues on that, man, as far as the editing process, where you submitted something and they looked at you and went, "What the hell are you guys doing?"
No, I think we've been really well. When we started it, we hired a freelance editor, Allison O'Toole, who I adore, and she's been a fantastic resource in terms of like just handling shit. You know what I mean? And when I gave her the scripts at first, there was really only one thing that she said we should change, and we changed it like at the very beginning. So by the time that we were moving, like once the process was going, everything was already done. Like everything was already locked out and ironed up. And it has to do with the very, very end of the story. And Nick and I got a little tippy about it, but we figured it all out in the end. And I think that I think that the way it ends sets itself up for more in a stronger way. It gives it more. There's less work to do at the beginning of the next one, if that makes any sense.
I so just want to be like, you guys can totally tell, but if my calculations serve me properly, based on the fact that 5 just dropped, 6 won't be out by the time this
4
episode.
just dropped.
4
so
just
4
dropped.
just dropped.
My bad. Why
so
did
5's next month, and then 6 is at the end of August.
Okay, so 5 will almost be dropping probably in a week or two, maybe a bit more, as you are watching this episode for everybody out there. There's links in the description for everybody to check that out, as well as Fred and Nick's work, just so everyone knows. It wouldn't be so long, but I don't do these live. I want them to look prettier than that. Nick knows that. I like it to look pretty like Nick's art. And as Nick knows, all that crap takes time. Man, like a headache. Have you ever found yourself, Fred or Nick, where Fred gave you something and you were like, "What's wrong with you, dude? Do you really want me to draw this?"
No. I knew it would be an ambitious story to tackle, given the subject matter, given the genre, and one of the things I had always felt that I was tentative about doing was large melee, like involving lots of crowd scenes, big time melee. I always wanted to do that. I had the utmost respect for artists who did that well. Guys like Buscema, and I wanted to, I was like, can I ever do that? The stuff I'd done before, I mean, never that many characters per panel, never, and I would just try to shortcut it when I did it. But I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do this and go all out. I'm just going to like pack it in, really make it a visual feast, panel per panel. And
sometimes I feel bad about that, Nick. I got to be honest with you. I'm wrestling with a cat behind my chair right now. I'm sorry. They keep attacking my chair, and I apologize.
But you know what? I recall a little bit of background when we were first sending out the pitch. One, and I can't even remember which company this was. They even made a comment like, "Oh, it's very busy art." And honestly, like with that kind of comment, all I could think was like, "Fuck you, man! Like, really, just go fuck yourself." What kind of a fucking comment is that? It's too busy art, It either works or it doesn't. In this case, it worked. I'm sorry. Maybe that's very egotistical coming from the artist.
I think it works.
It worked.
You really got that comment? The art is too busy. Are you shitting me?
Yeah, completely.
All right, Fred.
That was a sore point, man.
No, fuck that. I just want to give Fred a reality gem now, so he can give that asshole a reality check and make him understand. Like, have you ever looked at some of the Marvel? Gem. Yeah, look at the Marvel big events. Like, you're telling me some of that art isn't busy as fuck? Shut the hell up.
The one thing that was frustrating is that I feel like I think that comments like that come from people with a lack of familiarity with who we are and what we're doing, and a lack of trust that we can do it. And I think that people saying things of that nature aren't looking at the art as just for the art's sake, and there's like an incorporation of unfamiliarity. I think I even know who you're talking about saying that, actually. And I remember being very frustrated because the same thing also said that there was no connection to make them care about the characters. And I that was frustrating to me, is like, when you take a look at the pitch, I was always told that your pitch should really almost have the macro, the macro and the micro. Like, all of the elements should be in that scene that you send. And when I look at the opening pages, if you don't get the longing of those two characters, it's because you started reading not caring. In the sense that
agreed, yeah.
And when I think that the frustrating aspect of pitching is that sometimes you're looking at a pitch from, and I can appreciate that you're an editor, you're looking at a gazillion friggin' pitches a day. But I think that if you're looking at a pitch with the idea of, I don't really want to care about this, you're not going to.
Sure.
And then when you've got that mentality and you see two names on there that maybe you're not familiar with, I think that that attitude is almost accentuated. But if you look at those opening pages with the sense of, I want to get to know what's going on, like an activity, like you're already engaged, I don't think it's really possible to not get drawn in with that. Because to me, there's so much like longing on those pages. And there's those silly little bedroom talks, like those silly little bits of dude bravado that guys do post coitus when you're making silly jokes and you're saying silly things. And then as soon as he looks out the curtain, like as soon as he looks out of the tent and he sees the rest of the world and not just the tent, there is an immediate shift in the tone. And when he looks back at her, you can see his eyes, like his eyes are looking almost like through her. It's like the eyes are lit up. He can see the world for what it is. And he immediately is like, you're in danger and you need to hold on to this sword. And that's like, we've talked about that scene, Nick and I, a gazillion times, about like the symbolic nature of him giving her his sword, which is essentially like the symbolic idea of somebody, a dude giving away their manhood. He's giving her his whole identity. And like this sword with the runic symbols on it that is this combination of Roman and Germanic history. And it's frustrating when you put that much effort into a piece from a visual and writing standpoint, all of it, it's right there. And then there's this idea of, I don't even want to give it a chance. And sometimes people, and I know we're really close to the subject matter, but I think you've got to be. And I think that when I saw a review and someone was like, I didn't really understand what was going on. And it's like, were you just like reading the dialogue and turning the page, or were you actually looking at it? Like when you go and when you go to like a museum and you look at art on the wall, do you just look at it and then move along? Look at it and move on. It's like, no, look at it. Just put in some effort. And I know that there's sometimes, like there's some stories where you don't need to do that. But this wasn't written as swashbuckling adventure. It has those elements, but there's a lot of like symbolism and motifs and it's all there and metaphor, and it can be frustrating when it's looked at as just this flat level when there's just so much there and we put so much work into it, you know? I'm really going off, Nick, and I'm sorry.
Look, Fred, you're fine, man, because I totally agree. And look, there are times where I'll say I'm fault to that, as far as I'm just trying to get.
We all are. Let's be honest. We all are.
Well, it has a lot to do with the fact that I run the questionnaire, and you know, I gotta make sure I have the appropriate amount of research done, and I don't look like an idiot when I'm interviewing somebody, and I've actually been able to look through their work. But even as quickly as I've had to read fucking every comic I've read recently, like everything, every single comic I've read since I've started this show, I've had to speed through for the sake of I want to read more comics, and I've got stuff for the show. I've got to edit the show. I've got so much shit I need to do for this, which I'm sure you can understand with Mud 79, as far as I gotta get to the next thing because this needs done and that needs done and that.
Yeah.
But even in doing it like that, man, there's so many things that I caught, like the fact that, like I said, when he hands her the sword, is like, take my sword. And at first she's like, no. And he's like, no, you take it, right? Like, I don't see how people wouldn't see the symbolism in that, as far as he's I mean, that's especially in that era. Like, a man would not give up his weapon to someone like that unless there was a far deeper sense of feeling there, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's your livelihood. You know, that's not just the sword in that era. It's not something that you could get again and again, especially in the case of the sword that he was given to her, that she was giving to her. But I mean, it's like no soldier would just be like, "Wife, here's my sword." No, that's not going to happen, even if it's just a foot soldier. You know. So how people that escape them? You think that's something that caught Jim's attention initially, out of curiosity?
I don't know. I'm terrified to talk to Jim about that stuff. I thought I ruined the pitch with this. I think I told Nick about this, about the way that I did it was that I sent Nick, not Nick, I sent Jim the art, just the art. And so I didn't send pitch docs to people first. I sent them the pages to see if they'd asked for the pitch doc. And across the board, they asked for the pitch doc after looking at the pages. And when I sent it to Jim, I sent the pitch pages and I was like, look at this, it's beautiful. And he responded and he said, you don't need to tell me if something is beautiful, I'll know. And I went, uh-oh. and then he wrote back and he said, this is beautiful. Send me everything you have. And I'm like, whew, okay. All right. So I sent off the pitch docs and it was the same day. He's like, I'm in. I want to do this. And I think the only holdup was trying to find a way to get the money together to do it was the hang up. And then once I figured out the money, I'm like, we're in. And it was like a rally of the troops. Like, are we all in? We're all in. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. And so that was that.
The way Fred describes it, it's like that whole scene with Nick Nolte in The Thin Red Line. When, you know,
Yeah.
he's the general, and he's like, "You don't need to tell me I'm right." You know.
Yeah.
Oh shit. And I mean,
I was terrified. I thought I ruined everything. And I remember feeling like, I don't want to have to send this email to Nick. He's not going to be happy about this. How did you ruin this, Fred, you idiot?
Oh, God. Well, thankfully, it didn't go that way.
No, it did not.
Can I ask, as many people as you pitched this to, though, are you happy where it ended up? Knowing
100%.
Yeah. I mean, because of whatever happens, it's your guys's. You know what I mean?
The thing that makes me really happy is that every time I've really because I'm very new to this. I've never had a big imprint book ever, and I don't have a sense of what's going on, and I've expressed that confusion over things, and Jim has gotten back to me right away and explained things. And I remember him saying something like, just in passing, he goes, no matter what happens, this is something that you guys really need to be proud of because this is a really good book. And then just hearing somebody, how many books are his fingerprints on? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you can
also with Allison too. Allison works with Chip Zdarsky on the regular. She's his personal editor.
Ooh.
And to work with her, and then and I remember her saying this, and she goes, "This book fucking sings," and it's like, that's strong. That makes me feel good, you know.
I mean,
yeah.
Those are two very, very high praises within the comic industry. And if you want to know a lot of the stuff Jim's worked on, I mean, we've just recently had him on the show. You can, I recommend check that out. Sorry about the plug, gentlemen, but I got to plug my own shit too while I'm plugging y'all's. You know, that's because trust me, if I had a reality, Jim, I'd just make everybody's shit work. But I don't. Why do you want? I gotta cut to this, man. Especially with Tony giving me as much shit about not bringing up the questionnaire based on the fact I have people fill out 20 questions that you did on the sketching PanCon, which I highly recommend you watch. Everybody sketch some crazy aliens. We're gonna have Nick come on.
I want to know what Nick picked for this too, by the way.
Oh no, I haven't done it yet. This is going to be for the next one.
No. Nick wasn't on. Nick wasn't on that particular one. That was Mike Ruth, Sean Damian Hill, Hugh Rookwood, Tony Felice, and Vlad.
No, the questionnaire. What did Nick pick for the questionnaire?
Oh, well, as far as for the 3 wishes?
Yeah.
See, the questionnaire has been modified over time, right? And Nick actually gave an answer to the questionnaire that made that question go away. Nick giggles because he knows exactly what I'm about to quote. The question that Nick made go away on the questionnaire is what happens to the top of the French bread pizza from all the French bread frozen pizzas? Because you ever bought a French bread pizza, Fred?
I don't know what that is.
A French bread
pizza. We have
pizza,
French bread pizzas here?
Huh?
Yeah, man.
Where? I've never had one of these. Like
fucking
a baguette?
Kroger, any goddamn...
No, like, you have the kinds like at Loblaws and stuff, like.
Oh, okay.
Like,
all right, what was your answer to this question?
Right, but no, you know now there's never a top, right? There are always 2 bottoms.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's always it's always 2 bottoms, right? And Nick made this question go away when he gave the best fucking answer ever, which pizza tops are actually the core conductive element used in the production of lithium-ion batteries, powering everything from our mobile devices to electric cars. Cobalt mining is a ruse manufactured by the global elite to maintain a supply of human slavery for use on their private jets. I've got Nick's questionnaire handy. I did not just memorize that, Nick.
That sounds like such a Nick answer.
Look, I told Nick when he gave me that answer, I was like, Nick, you're a phenomenal artist. Why the fuck aren't you writing too? What the hell was that shit?
That's funny.
So yeah, that stemmed from I watched back-to-back documentaries on Jeffrey Epstein and then the cobalt mining in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and I fueled them together in a pastiche of an answer.
So yeah, Nick didn't get the question of 3 wishes. We can find out what they'd be real quick. But first, man, I want to cover yours, Fred. How are you going to ask for the reality gem?
And why wouldn't you ask for the reality gem?
No. That's fine. That's fine. I don't care that you asked for it. But my point is, the next thing you asked for was a really good cheesecake. Like, you couldn't take the reality gem and make all the really good cheesecake you wanted.
Well, the thing was, it's like, what, like, I don't know if I'm getting them all. Like, if I've got 3, I'm going to list 3. And my mom makes, like, soft cheesecake. Like, she makes this soft cherry cheesecake. And everyone makes the really firm New York-style cheesecake, which is really good, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. But my mom made this, like, she makes this, like Gaelic-style soft cherry cheesecake, like East Coast style. And it's, oh, dude, it's the best. And it's really hard to get. And I remember, like, when I was answering, I was, like, really hankering one, man. Cherries, specifically cherries. Maybe blueberries, but preferably cherry.
I gotta say, cherry, Fred, is, again, it's like usually you bring this up. Cherry cheesecake is my cake of choice. When my wife asks, what would you like for your birthday? Cherry cheesecake. She knows now.
Oh, so good.
Because I don't know, like, everything else is just under cherry cheesecake in terms of desirability.
The tartness and the cheese together. I'm sorry.
with the graham cracker base, you need that. It ties everything in together like a rug.
Yeah.
Like a beautiful rug.
I say, like, I feel like the 3 of us need to get together and just have some cherry cheesecake, because it's definitely in my top 3 of cakes, man. I like a good chocolate sheet cake, but that's like something my mom makes specifically, and it's like gooey and nice with homemade icing, and like that's a different level. So I don't know if I put it against that and that. That'd be a rough choice if you told me I could only have one of them, man. I'd be like, fuck you, bitch. Give me them both. I'm going to eat them at the same time.
Yeah.
Chocolate, so I can have the cherry cheesecake and then a bite of the chocolate cheesecake. And that's just going to go perfect together, right? I mean, that's just facts, man. But then world peace, which is honorable, but I still say, Fred, you've got the reality gem. You didn't need any more wishes.
I think I was also like really stoned and emotional when I wrote it. So I got like the visions of power. I'm munching, but then I'm sad. You know, I'm like a Danny Roja. I'm like real life Danny Roja. Like I want everyone to have a good time because I'm sad.
Why can't we all just get along? You know?
Yeah, Danny Roja. I love Danny Roja. He's like one of my favorite fictional characters.
I mean, so again, honorable answer.
With the best introduction.
Yeah. Nick didn't have to answer that question, right? So I mean, I guess we could make him answer it if you want to hear his thoughts on it, Fred.
Give another question that Nick answered. I want to hear another one that he did answer already.
It'll always come back to cobalt mining for me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the cobalt mining, but apparently, I mean, can I say with the genre of films you're both a fan of, I would love to see you guys work on something alien oriented.
We've talked. There's been discussions about that, like that. There is something that's floating around about that. So,
I mean, because you answered sci-fi, Fred answered, or I mean, Nick answered horror. So that's a very interesting combination to make some kind of alien book. I mean, I know if you guys wanted to pitch an alien book as far as the actual properties, you're going to have to deal with Marvel. And Declan's writing that right now, which is phenomenal. Everybody check it out as far as his past Quest 2. We got in depth on Alien, and I'm really enjoying his current run, man. It's been dope. So make sure you, I mean, I'm amazed to see what Marvel is doing with Alien as far as they're not pussifying it, for the lack of a better term, because that's what I was kind of afraid of. So, I mean, maybe you guys could come together and send them a pitch, and it doesn't matter how dark you go with it. I don't suggest putting slinging dicks and titties in it, though, because I don't care what, dude. It's Marvel. They're not going to let that
If I could do like an alien thing, not like Xenomorph Alien, but with aliens, I would do a Predator story with Nick very readily. I think that'd be good. I would rather do a Predator thing.
Can I make a suggestion? Something that I, talking to Nick previously, talking to you now, Fred, looking at both of y'all's questionnaires, that I would love to see you take on. I don't even know who owns the property, to be real honest, as far as in comic book form, but The Thing.
The Thing.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
You know who's a big Adam Gorham is a huge Thing guy. Yeah. He loves The Thing. And I really even like the original 1950s movie.
Oh yeah.
And I think I love the John Carpenter Thing. Like I love all three Thing movies, if I'm being honest. I even really like the new one.
I think I don't agree with a lot of people bashing the new one. I actually thought it was a standalone. It was a great film. Yeah.
I think people bash things that they've got an emotional connection to. And it becomes not even what's on screen, but it's just not what they envisioned. And I find that frustrating. And I think it's when people do that, they limit the desire of new creators to take a new stab at a property. Like my dream IP is Highlander. Like, and there's not even a close second. I mean, like in terms of like just non-comic IPs, Silver Surfer, Conan, yeah. But the Highlander, 100%. I would love to do a Highlander story, and it wouldn't even have anything to do with any of the established canon that is out there right now. Not even established canon, but just like the big characters. Like, but I would love to do a Duncan MacLeod like Highlander story, and I would also like to do something that's a completely new thing with Highlander.
You know, Duncan was his like his buddy at the beginning.
Duncan's TV Highlander.
Oh, yeah. TV. Oh, sorry.
You know what? Don't you badmouth TV Highlander?
No, I never watched it.
Look, Nick, you just hold on. You're the guest co-host here, and I don't know if you noticed, Fred, but you attracted my attention. Yeah. There can be only one, my friend. I am a fan.
I gotta tell you like a weird story that directly involves the Highlander.
Please.
So I had a cousin that I didn't know existed, and she is like such a good person and so fantastic, and we'd never met. And she and her husband were coming through the GTA on their way home from their honeymoon. And we've never met, but we're family, and it's like it involves my family's classic East Coast Gaelic nonsense. So we didn't even know of each other. And then we found out of each other, and I was like, listen, I know it's weird, we've never met, but if you wanted to like come by and visit and even crash and stay at our house, if it's going well, you can crash, or if it goes bad, you can just keep on your way. But she shows up, and we ordered pizza. I shit you not, this happened. And we're just hanging out, and we're like flipping through things on the like TV, and she's like, whoa, Highlander. And I'm like, Highlander? And she's like, I love Highlander. I'm like, I also love Highlander. And it's like, we've never met, but the nerd, the cheesy, and it wasn't the movie, it was the show. And the very first episode of the Highlander series stars Bull from Night Court as the bad guy, who is an immortal that wears a mask to hide his scarred face. Richard Karn. Richard Karn is his name. And we
I know Bull well.
Yes, we bonded as a family over Highlander. That specific episode, it's wild. I love the Highlander so much.
Hey, real quick on that note, I need like a 3-second pause. Yeah, but they've got fucking Predator versus Wolverine coming up.
I know. Oh, I'm aware.
That's
pretty bad.
Yeah. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Yeah? I'm just getting some information I had to cut out because, some things can't be put on the questionnaire, and that's just the way it is. I don't want to get nobody in legal trouble or otherwise. We don't need people getting bitched out here over the questionnaire. That's just one of the main goals of the show is to let you all know what's out there and to get your comic on, right? But, man, I just got to bring up a couple other things about this questionnaire because me and you were talking earlier, Fred. You said you hadn't seen any of the Alien prequels.
Nope.
It's funny that you bring up Nick's questionnaire then, because a film he can't stand is Prometheus.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing that I haven't seen it then.
You haven't seen it?
No, because the kids were like little babies then, and it was too much going on. There's too much happening. But I was following along. I've read the breakdowns of the plot, and I've watched all kinds of I find the plot elements on display to be fascinating, in the casting and all those things. And I've always been fascinated with the lore of the Navigators and all that stuff. So, but I've never seen it.
Okay, see, everything you just said is exactly what enthused me about seeing the film. And honestly, like when I gripe about it, I feel like, an entitled fanboy who's like, well, it didn't live up to my expectations, but like, oh my God, it was just
Covenant was dope.
It just reads like a litany of things that, that went wrong with it, which could have been so right. And when it looks so good, you're like, come on, really? Like,
it does look so good.
It looks amazing. It looks amazing. And you're watching it thinking, come on. Like, come on, really?
I think the thing is can I ask Nick, did it throw you off the fact that suddenly they looked human and you expected them to look like elephants?
No, nothing like that.
Okay,
not at all about that aspect. It was literally the point by point parts of the plot and how, this motley crew of scientists were the biggest.
Look. So again, back into Prometheus, I do understand what you were saying, Nick. That was cut out because sometimes things just need to get cut.
Things happen,
right? Things happen. I don't know what happened. For some reason, Nick's audio cut out again. Nick, fix your tech equipment, right? No, you're fine now. Good God, dude.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
With the ruse,
over my head, man.
Keep up with the ruse. For the love of God, man, it's a ruse.
I'm having a great time right now.
Just call me Sterling up in this bitch, all right?
But Prometheus will make you angry. It makes me angry. And maybe that's its success. Maybe, wow, it elicited such an emotion in me. And you want to know the ultimate hypocrisy? I've rewatched it several times looking for something more in it. And
that's
honestly,
such commitment. That is such commitment.
And I'm at a point where I just like having it on in the background, and I'm not, I just learned to deal with it.
Why don't you turn on Covenant?
The sound engineering is great in it, though.
No, why don't you turn on Covenant, Nick?
What's wrong with Covenant?
Turn on Covenant.
Equally ridiculous, and equally I will rewatch it. That's my commitment to the Alien franchise.
I will say,
I'm entitled to make these comments.
Because it's like, I've watched this
I illegally downloaded this movie.
I mean, so have I. I'll be real honest. Like, I've watched Covenant and Prometheus several times, and I do agree. As far as the entire, I mean, I don't know. Resurrection's pretty, So how
does it go? What's the order? Like, chronologically, break down the Alien franchise from the beginning. What's the first one? Prometheus is the first one?
Well,
yeah, right? Because Covenant happens after Prometheus.
Yeah,
right?
But technically, the first, chronologically, as far as how they actually happened in real time, if you were to watch them that way, like if you want to put Star Wars Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as opposed to watching them never come out. The first Alien film that ever happened in the order of the span that a year that it happened is the worst one, which is Alien versus Predator.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Do those count as canon?
Yeah. I was going to ask exactly that question. Yeah.
They shouldn't. They suck.
Alien versus Predator.
Was that the one with Lance Henriksen where he was like he played the part of
the billionaire who's dying?
The billionaire, right? Which is exactly what happened in Prometheus. So they can't be canon. Or
I don't know. All I know is that they went to do an Alien versus Predator film. And there was brilliant work laid for them in both books and comics. And they made up an original story about a fucking pyramid on Earth. And it is the dumbest shit they could have done in reference to trying to bring those characters together. Because the way
having a pyramid underneath our Antarctic ice, that's not dumb. In the realm of what you've got, you can still make that work. You can, but this is how you know it's not good, is because my oldest is not a big horror guy. He doesn't like to be spooked or scared or anything. But he sat through that and was like, this is fine. That's how I know it's not good. Like, that's how I know that it's not doing a good job at conveying. It should be terrifying, body horror, parasitic. It should all be there. Like, you should feel uncomfortable. Like, that's how you know it's good. For me, like, when I watch Alien and Aliens, I would pick Aliens as the best of all of the Aliens. That's always my go-to.
I think that is independent upon what mood you're in.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
because Alien is like Jaws. Aliens is like Terminator 2. In the sense that I think Terminator 2 is the superior movie in the Terminator franchise between Terminator 1 and 2, the only two Terminator movies that exist. I think that's the superior movie. But Terminator has its charms as well for what it is. And Alien has that Jaws idea of you don't know what's coming and you're scared of anything that's dark is terrifying because you don't know what's in it. And I think that was the first time that I really grasped the nature of being scared of the unknown.
Look,
as Tulsa Doom, now we know now you'll learn why you fear the dark, like that is it.
That's one of the only movies that really got me with jump scares. And I still remember the specific moment because it got me for years. It don't now because I've watched it so many times I know the exact moment it's coming. But if I'm not paying attention, I'll still be like, oh shit. Where oh god, I can't remember the character's name. The captain is climbing through the ventilation system.
Dallas is in the vents?
Yeah,
That part?
Dallas. Thank
Yeah.
you. For some reason, I wanted to say Ash, but I know that's the android. When Dallas is in the vents and suddenly, and that's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't even show anything. It's just a flame to the alien's face, and then what happened.
It
That's one of
gets
the
you,
greatest
and they're even
jokes.
telling you you're about to be got because he's following it on the tracker the whole time, and you're expecting it, and it still gets you. That's how good
It's
that
the
was.
beeping. That is great sound editing. That is use of sound. It's that dunk dunk dunk. I think that there's a lot of things that happen in the human brain from a psychological standpoint that sound editing can make or break everything. There was a great line in that documentary, High Score, about video games, and it was a Japanese game maker who worked on, I don't remember, I think it was like Space Invaders, and he said sound is confirmation. Mm-hmm. And I think that when you're watching a dot on a screen, it doesn't mean anything, but it's that do, and it reminds you of a heartbeat, and it mimics your heart rate going up. And I think that all those things come together. You're doing things, your brain is doing things without you even realizing it, like you're getting caught up with it. Yeah. That's how it works. It's all psychology. That's why there's like.
Oh, well, let me link this back to what we were talking about as far as Dead Romans, man. And I don't think Nick got the question of who would be the composer of his life. Hell, I'd have to look, man. All right.
What did you put in there?
Look. If they want to know, they can go sign up for the Patreon for like $5 a month and find out. All right. They don't get the answers to all the questions on the show. All right. I'm trying to
learn about Nick. I'm going to join on the Patreon.
I'll tell you later, Fred. Chill out, man. All right. I'm not even sure that. Yeah. No.
The composer, I don't recall answering that one.
Yeah, he didn't get that question. Like I said, the questionnaire has been modified since the beginning of the show. And if you want to know what Fred's answer was, go check out the Patreon, which, oh my God, I hope I've got up by now. I really got too much shit to do for this show. But that's besides the point, neither here nor there.
What was my answer?
But no. What I want to know is if you guys could pick a composer for Dead Romans.
Interesting.
Like alive now?
I mean, well, if it gets made, you're certainly not picking a corpse to do it, are you? That'd be pretty boring.
The dude who did I want to say Jeremy Sewell right off the bat, because of all his work on the Elder Scrolls. But and this is going to sound like a weird pick, but I don't know if you watched Star Wars Rebels, but the composers, I think it's like 2 or 3 composers that work together under like a pseudonym. The work that Rebels is, I think, the high watermark of Star Wars. And I know with Andor and with Ahsoka and Mandalorian, that's bold, but I would say Rebels is the high watermark for the entire Star Wars franchise. And the work that they did with the music on Rebels, I think, is fantastic. Other than that, I don't know who did the composing on Andor, but the soundtrack for Andor is incredible, and the subtlety of the way they change the intro music every single episode. And it builds each time as the show's suspense gets more and more intense. Mm-hmm. I think that type of music is what we would want for Dead Romans, my opinion, anyways. And if we can't get that, Beethoven.
Did you just say Faith Hill?
Beethoven.
No, Beethoven, man.
Ludwig van Beethoven.
Okay. I thought you said Faith Hill for a second. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
You know what score really leapt out to me? Although I don't know if I could actually see with Dead Romans, although this is just off the top of my head. So I'm just saying one that I thought worked really well with the show it was on was for Chernobyl. If you guys have seen that miniseries, the HBO series.
Andor, that's the same person that did Andor.
The Icelandic
Yeah.
artist? Oh, okay. Her name escapes me at the moment, but it just had that visceral and yet like ambient. It was ambient, but so visceral,
also,
and you're just
Sorry, you keep going, Nick.
No.
I'm sorry.
That was essentially my point. Yeah.
Also, Wade McNeil from Alexis on Fire does a lot of scoring work, and for the action sequences, Wade has a unique understanding of visceralness. Like he can bring a visceral punch, and there's certain elements, and whenever it's the Germans leading a charge or the Germans initiating the attack, which happens, but the Romans do their own. As if you're reading, you'll see there's always counteroffensives. I think Wade McNeil's work, and he's done a laundry list. He did a lot of the scoring on the new Twisted Metal show, and I think that his scoring would be fantastic. I'm a huge Alexis on Fire fan too.
There's a Twisted Metal show that's out.
It's coming, but I've heard a lot of the scoring stuff. I've kind of weaseled in through my knowing of people in the music industry to kind of get access to certain things.
Okay, fair enough. Now, since we're talking about scoring, man, I'm curious because there's I use my own music for the intro and the outro because I just happen to have made a track called Anti-Hero, and it works really well for the show as far as the hook because I just thought it did, so that's what I used. And it already previously existed for this show. So
I've also got to get one more name. Sorry.
Huh?
Yeah, keep going.
Oh, no, so like I said, so I have that as far as for the intro. But I'm curious, man, with you doing Mud 79, you're not using hip-hop for that, because that'd be fucking really weird, Fred, if you just use hip-hop in the background, right? So what do you do as far as when you're structuring that together, man, for the background and music? Like, do you find yourself going crazy trying to pick the right score for the scene?
Oh my god, that is one of the most time-consuming parts. Okay, the Mud 79, like with finding the music specifically. So I have to use a licensed music service through work, and then I have to go through and find stuff, and the hardest part is finding music that is not action-based. Music is very easy. Ambient, positive feeling music is the hardest part. You can find so much good tense music, so much good neutral drone music, but to find music that is almost neutral but positive in nature is the hardest stuff to find. Because it's either really cheesy or it's really down. That's hard. And I've got a repertoire of songs that I like to use. And honestly, the music that tends to work best for anyone that hasn't, Mud 79 is like Star Wars meets Platoon radio play is the best way to describe it.
And there's a link in the description. So go check that out.
That science documentaries tend to be the best source of music for that. And it's APM, the music licensing company I go through with them, and their library is massive and huge. I actually just did a scene last night where there was like an Imperial parade and went through all these Russian Red Army marching band songs was what I ended up going through, because I always feel that the Empire is very much like the World War II Red Army.
Incidentally, there's a great clip you can find on YouTube of one of the Soviet parades, like at their peak. I was actually using it just to get inspiration for like line formations of troops for Dead Romans.
Yeah.
But it's all on YouTube. And I mean, this is circa, I believe, it's in color. So I don't know if this is still within Stalin's era, but, Red Army at their peak. And you're seeing just possibly, I don't recall, but I think Zhukov is in the formations. So, you're seeing the cream of the crop of the Soviet military. It's pretty wild. And you can also, just YouTube it.
I was still living in Belgium when the wall came down, eh? Like, I was still living there. I remember when Chernobyl happened and we were there, we weren't allowed to go play outside. It was pretty nuts. My mom freaked out when that happened. She wouldn't let us go out in the backyard or anything. And she was like, we're moving back to Canada. And my dad's like, well, we can't. I'm sorry, we can't just go. So we weren't allowed to go outside. And I remember being like, are we allowed to take the dog out, Mom? Can the dog go outside to go to the bathroom? What do we do? Sorry, I should have mentioned that. I didn't live in Canada until I was 12.
Yeah.
Sorry, you just blew my mind a little, Fred, based on the fact that you're like, oh, I was like in Belgium when the Chernobyl incident happened. Like, what?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know what was going on at the time. I didn't even really know what Chernobyl was until I was like a teenager. When you're dealing with it, like you're a little kid, your perspective on these things is so very limited. But like watching what Chernobyl is now, and the thing is my dad was working at NATO headquarters, and I was like, "Were you worried?" He goes, "Wait, what do you think?" What do you mean? Was I worried? Yeah. Like, was I? Obviously, I was worried. Clearly.
And okay. You know what most people don't remember? Right around that same time, the Challenger exploded. So you had that incident in the Western Hemisphere, and then Chernobyl went down in the Eastern Hemisphere. And yeah, a lot of crazy, historical stuff happened. I believe that was like in the same week or month or something, if I remember correctly. I was young at the time.
Here I am just trying to talk about Fred's podcast that he does, or show that he does, radio show that he does, and all of a sudden we're getting into it.
I was bringing up Chains of Fate from the Diablo 3 soundtrack is like a song that I feel like fits perfectly in Dead Romans, like that piece of music specifically. And he's the head of the whole Diablo franchise. And I messaged him because he's always talking about how he works out. I was like, have you ever worked out to Chains of Fate? And he goes, I try and do deadlifts to that at least once a month. I'm like, yeah. Like, yeah, absolutely.
All I know is like that conversation took an interesting turn that I did not expect, man. But can I say, on the note of I did not expect, the song that annoys the crap out of you is the internet? Fred, you just mean like the internet?
The song that annoys the crap out of me?
Yeah.
I wrote the internet.
That's what you put.
Yeah, I guess. Well, sure. I told you like a few minutes ago I was really stoned when I did the survey.
Fred was on that good Ontario weed. Like he had some of that.
Oh, I got the bag right here, man.
It's like an old man complaining. The internet.
Sugar cookies, which is a really high strain, 22% indica.
Okay, never mind the cheesecake. I want to come hang out with y'all for some other reason, or at least Fred. I don't know if you partake.
It is Canada, after all.
Yeah, man. So the internet, clearly the internet is just annoying me.
The song of the internet.
Is this the worst interview that you've had to do? Like, we're horrible people.
No, it's phenomenal. I don't know what you're talking about, Fred. I'm loving it. Like, that was just, I think it's like, the song that annoys the crap out of you is the internet.
Yeah, the internet. Maybe it's because, like, my day job is working on the radio and, like, Spotify and stuff is bothering me and, like, scooping out my paycheck, you know?
Look,
internet.
Look, dude, I don't want to hear it about Spotify. I'm an artist who puts music out on there, and every time somebody streams a song, I get a fraction of 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 a fucking penny. Okay?
You know what?
That's
Terrestrial
Superman 3
broadcasting always pays good royalties. That's why.
Where?
FM radio in stereo.
Yeah. If they ever play our shit on FM radio and we blow up that much, me and DKB will probably get shot for the things we say, Fred. Which, I mean, technically that would make us martyrs. And if it made the world better for the children, as fucked up as it is, I'd be okay with that because I have a son. And if things made it to where they were just better for everybody based on the fact that we got martyred.
Number 3, world peace.
Yeah,
Number 3.
I mean, I mean, because I mean, you up in Canada, man. But let's face it, America runs on murder. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Fred's like, I ain't even saying nothing more. He really just said that. Dude,
Yep.
I'm fucking, me and DKB have an album named that. That's why I'm saying if we ever blow up as musicians, we'll probably get murdered. All right?
America runs on murder.
Well, it does.
Lately here
Wait.
in Toronto, we've been running on stabbing. There's been like this wave of stabbings on the TTC, like our metro.
Well,
No,
it's not done by the police,
now.
is it?
Oh, fireworks too, yeah.
The kids are setting off fireworks on the buses.
All right, fine, but it's not the fucking cops killing you up there, is it?
No.
No, we can't complain.
Yeah.
We don't have like rampant school shootings and whatnot.
And dumbass police talking about, yeah, I'm Frank Castle. No, you're not, you fucking dipshit.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just.
You know what's funny about that? I saw recently. I don't know if you guys heard, like in Serbia, there were like these 2 mass shootings in like the same week or something, right?
Yeah.
If you look, which I don't know how widespread in the media this is, that led to literally, you can see pictures, hundreds of thousands of people protesting about the gun laws and about, corruption in the government. And when you're looking at it, you're like, oh, that's crazy. And I'm like, no, that's normal when you have mass shootings, in a small country like that. That is the expected response. And it's only,
What's going on with that border skirmish there right now? There's the border skirmishes too.
Oh, in around Kosovo?
Yeah. The EU is getting involved in that. I was reading about that today.
You make me want to hit up Vlad because he's actually from Serbia, and that's where he lives.
Yeah, he might have some good perspective on that.
My bad. My dog was getting pissed about the fireworks we're setting off here in America because, we're celebrating our independence.
That's not till like next week. That's like 2 weeks.
But you think that doesn't last forever, man. Look, hey, I will say, Fred, at least you're enough of a comic book fan though to know that The Crow is a comic book movie, and I do love that, like, the comic book thing. Like, most people for the comic book film that didn't do the comic book justice, I've had a lot of Alan Moore answers in that regard, like a lot. But I love that you're just like
which one
all
did,
the Punisher.
One did I put?
Huh?
What'd you pick for a comic book movie?
Well, I just love. Look, we'll get to that real quick, Fred. But I just love that you're like all the Punisher and all the Fantastic Four films. Like you just threw it out there, like all of them. They all suck. They're all freaking terrible, right?
John Bernthal as the Punisher. Like, I didn't want him to be the Punisher because there was that short proof of concept with Ron Perlman and Tom Jane, Dirty Laundry. And I thought that after watching that, I was like, Tom Jane got a raw deal as the Punisher. He was a great Punisher. And then when you watch Dirty Laundry, you're like, wow, if you could do what you want with the character, you'd nail it. And then John Bernthal gets a shot, and you're like, you're also really good, but I kind of want to see Tom Jane get another crack at it.
Well, Tom Jane got boned in the fact of the script that they gave him, man. I mean, they changed way too much. But then at the same time, they tried. The only saving grace to that film is the stuff that they drew from Garth Ennis's writing, in my opinion.
Yeah. And
that helps that film a lot.
I think I'm also just a really big Tom Jane fan. Like, I loved him in Arrested Development, and I loved him in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Like, it's milk and eggs, bitch. He's so great. Like, I buy him being too serious and being just the right with the JD bottle. Like, when he takes the guys out with the JD bottle in that short, if anybody watching hasn't seen Dirty Laundry, it's so incredible. It's so Punisher.
Stop adding things that I need to do, Fred. I have enough already. All right?
Okay, all right.
Stop. Because now I'm like, damn, I need to go watch Dirty Laundry. But
I haven't seen this either.
Yeah, as far as what Nick answered, it shows that you guys very much belong as a pair, in my opinion, because you're like all the Punisher and all the Fantastic Four films. Nick's like all the X-Men films except First Class. And then he added and then he added as an addendum. I only
thought First Class was like somewhat like what I expected.
Even X-Men United, that opening scene with Nightcrawler in the White House. Come on, that is so good. It's so good.
Wait.
I mean,
Fred.
It's there.
Now, I'll give you the opening scene is phenomenal, but X-Men United is a terrible film.
Honestly, I don't even remember which one that was. Like, you'd have to refresh my memory with the plot.
The third film in the original trilogy. Right?
No. Is X-Men United? I thought X-Men United was the second. What's the second one called? I'm talking about the second one.
Oh, wait.
With the Nightcrawler scene, I believe that's the second one.
Maybe because it's United and then it's The Last Stand where they tried unsuccessfully to do the Phoenix Saga again.
Yeah, the United is number 2. Phoenix, yeah. The Last Stand. No, United I think is amazing, and with Lady Deathstrike fight. Oh, and then he like, oh, dude, no, it's great. I love it. I really do. Cheesy, an idiot for sure, but I remember loving that movie. I did. I loved it.
Have you rewatched it since you grew up?
I think the last time I watched it was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I probably really enjoyed it then too.
It's not X-Men Wolverine Origins, all right? So
no,
that's
like
the one that gets no pass with me.
Movies, though.
Yeah.
You can't compare everything to that.
No, that I'm just saying that's the one to me that has no like the only saving grace of that film is when they didn't seal Wade Wilson's mouth shut and Agent Zero, and short of that, it's terrible, and I didn't need it to exist. Now, Nick's other answer, I'm curious of your opinion of Fred, because it was Batman 1989. You know, the original Tim Burton film.
Oh, yeah. I got it on VHS for Christmas, and I love that movie so much.
Okay, to be fair, I always point out, I know this is a very unpopular answer, and I did explain why I wasn't cool with that movie.
Why weren't you cool? Give it to me. Lay it on me.
Oh, no. I mean, it's just, I was juvenile at the time. I mean, I saw it when I was like 15, and you see it in the theater, and at the time I had recently read The Killing Joke.
Okay, yeah.
And I was just like, okay, man, this is the origin story for Joker. Like, this is as good as it gets. And then when I saw that movie, it was kind of like, I mean, we talked about this before on, but there was an element of camp in it, and I thought, this is just,
Nick's problem was, Fred, is he was expecting to see the Joker bash Robin's head in with a baseball bat. And as I said on our quest with Nick previously, which y'all can check out, we get into all kinds of other things as well. That would have been a little far from going to the Batman to Joker caving Robin's head in with a baseball bat. It's a bit
and to be fair, I'm a big Tim Burton fan. Like, there was not a criticism at all as to his skill. It was just kind of like it was what I wanted to see, and I didn't get what I wanted to see. And I'm projecting to when I was 15 years old, mind you. I'm just saying.
He just wanted to see Robin's head caved in, which I can understand. I'm not a fan of Robin either. Pick a Robin. Let Batman let Joker beat their head in, or
Christopher
Batman for that matter, whatever.
The only movie back then before, I don't know, like we had this resurgence of comic book movies that were really good. Captain America, Winter Soldier, all that. But really, before then, I got to say the only movie that ever made a difference to me was like the original Superman. I thought that was an amazing movie. Mm-hmm. And then between that, I mean, I guess, if you love Batman, but I wasn't too crazy.
To this day, like the Superman movie was like, that was the first superhero movie I watched with Ziggs, like my oldest, when he was like 3 years old. And when he pulls the shirt open, like when he rips the shirt open and you see the S, Ziggy lost his mind. Like, he was like, it's Superman. It's Superman. I'm like, buddy, it is Superman. And to this day, like, Christopher Reeve is Superman. Like,
yeah,
I think for everyone that's our age, like, he's Superman. Like, he will always be Superman.
But I mean, everything about that film, you know, the cinematography, the music, and Reeve in the starring role, and Margot Kidder, you know, it was just.
Why are you rolling your eyes? You don't like the original Superman movie?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, look. I'm clowning on something else entirely.
No,
I'm honestly never been. I've never been a big Superman fan. Period. It's never. Superman, to a certain degree, has never appealed to me because it's always that whole, with absolute power comes absolute corruption. And this man is absolute, but somehow you're telling me he is absolutely that pure. There's part of me that finds that highly unbelievable, you know, and maybe it's because I'm a little jaded.
I have argued this forever. When somebody says that they don't like Superman, for me, it says that somebody has hurt them, and that their
look,
ability.
Shut up. We're not getting into that. This fucking interview is goddamn over, Fred. All I know is Nick said, "Good old Brock, nothing beats that." Fred said paper. Fuck, Nick, you lost.
What did I say?
You said paper. Nick lost because he said rock. Nothing beats that. I mean, I'm just
always paper.
I'm just saying. And Fred, to what you said a minute ago, there's the reason I'm the Wade motherfucking Wilson hip hop. You know what I mean? Because Wade is a flawed, very fucked, got hurt by a lot of people character. We won't get no more into that. You want to get into that? Go click the link that leads to my fucking music. And yeah, that's we ain't getting into all that shit, Fred. This ain't a goddamn
Superman. I fucking love Superman. He's
Look,
so great.
give me Captain America any fucking day of the week, and that's all I'm saying. But I will say, man, if you've enjoyed this interview with Fred, with my special co-host Nick in the house, the two gentlemen that are mainly responsible for bringing you Dead Romans from Image Shadowline, right? Make sure, right? What you do is you send a dwarf to Fred's house with all the Legos. You like all my Legos, Fred?
I do.
You like all my Legos? I like those Legos, right? You know, I wish in all sincerity they do like Legos would do like some Marvel or some Image sets as opposed to just Marvel, because like that would be dope. But there's some bitch asses. They only want to do what makes them an exorbitant amount of money, right? So you send them a dwarf with a ton of Legos, just as many Legos as that dwarf can handle, right? Right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not enjoyed this interview, right? I mean, I can't even add anything else to this. You just send a bunch of political influencers right to Fred's house. And that, man, that's bad enough. I can't add nothing else to that shit. I typically do, Fred, but
I'm sorry.
Damn, bro. I just know, dude. What do you mean? You ain't got to be sorry. I'd feel bad sending anything other than a bunch of political. Here, man. You know what? Fine. I'll make it worse, right? You send a bunch of political influencers.
What did I write on this? I was so stoned.
You send a bunch of political influencers with a bunch of provolone cheese to force feed him provolone cheese while they try and politically influence Fred.
Oh, terrible.
Hey, man. Yeah, I feel like you asked for worse, and that's what you got. But do me a favor. Check out all the links in the description. You can find Dead Romans, all kind of madness. You can find Mud79 to check that out. All kinds of goodness, ladies and gentlemen. Like, subscribe, hit that bell, give it that thumbs up. And besides that, get your comic on. Have a good night, y'all.